So you mentioned that your mother wanted to get back into film production. How did that assertion lead you to your screenplay and the process of creating Line Cooks?
Honestly, she commissioned the entire project.
Okay.
She is the most creative go-getter I've ever seen. She came to me before Thanksgiving. She says, "Hey, great news. We're making another movie." I was like, "That's amazing. Who'd you get to write the script?" She's like, "You're going to do it." And I had about a month to put it all together after New Year's. And this story felt the most personal to me.
Right.
It felt the most cohesive to the constraints that we were trying to work with in terms of timing and set and budget. And as someone who has worked a lot of service jobs, this felt like a story I really wanted to tell, to kind of pay homage to the amazing people and insane situations those kinds of jobs lead you into.
Sure. Well, what was your mom's background in film production that wanted her to get back into it?
So she has been a producer on one feature film, and then during, after COVID, she produced a short film. This one was a comedy, and she really wanted to delve more into comedies.
Excellent. So as you are on the precipice of filming, what can you tell us about the team of filmmakers, production houses, crew, and actors that make the possibilities that much more exciting?
I've never worked with a more driven or talented team, even as someone so young. I am incredibly blessed to have these producers who are giving everything they have into this film, to have a crew of professionals who are so excited to get on set and make a comedy and so many of them have worked with each other before. I cannot say how grateful I am to this crew for all the work that they are putting in. And I'm so excited to get to see the actors play on set, especially with our director, John. He lives and breathes directing actors.
Right.
And I really hope that getting all these wonderful people together, putting them in their element on set.
So just quickly name them. The director is?
Director is John Mossman.
The production companies are?
It is Who's to Say Productions, and then Journey Work and Scofflaw Productions are jumping in there as well.
This is based on your experiences working in a similar industry as a part-time job. What did you observe about the real-life situation that inspired a ready-made story and comedy?
So much of this film is based on things that I experienced, and more often than not, crazy stories across several different jobs and people. I talked to a lot of people who have worked in the service industry, especially in restaurant kitchens, and the thing that informed this story most is the chaos of working in a restaurant where you never know what you're going to expect next. There's a million things being held together half the time with duct tape and a prayer.
Sure.
And you get people truly from all walks of life coming together to enjoy and create good food. And I think there's nothing so American as a small restaurant where you get people from every background, every language, every class and belief system coming together to make or enjoy good food.
So the best comedy is when we laugh at ourselves in a familiar community. What humor comes from the truth of the circumstances in Line Cooks?
When I took my first job in Line Cooks, I was completely out of my element. There are parts of this story that are truly based on my own experience of just being thrown in the deep end in terms of not knowing anything about the restaurant world, not knowing anything about just being a young working teen or professional. And I feel like there's so much of that where you just have to laugh at yourself because you just look and are ridiculous. And so many of these situations are based off of real things that I've witnessed, because people are absolutely ridiculous, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself, whether that's a Karen yelling at you at a restaurant counter or accidentally messing up 10 orders in a row. Mistakes happen, you have to be able to move past it.
What storytelling techniques allowed you to move past any creative block that most people encounter in writing screenplays? And what elements of the script came out of that technique?
When I had a creative block with this, I went back to some of my inspirations. I watched Ferris Bueller and old John Hughes movies. Mm-hmm. I was a dedicated student of Anthony Bourdain's TV shows to try to capture that momentum and that chaos, and then I would come back to the script and say, okay, what did you notice about the people? What did you notice about the flow, especially with it being mockumentary style? What were the moments that either the host or the actor and these kinds of things, when they addressed the camera, what was the spark and the connection that I felt as a viewer? And how do I not copy that, but how do I tap into that style and that voice to make something wholly original?
Nice. And so, you're doing a mockumentary style. What do you picture about the crew that's coming in to interview these people? What is their basis of reality?
I think their basis of reality is they are tapping off of the kind of boom that we've seen in terms of restaurant shows and in terms of mockumentary shows.
Yeah.
And I have to say it, The Bear, I think, changed so much of the film language of Chicago and how stories are captured and how food stories are captured.
Nice.
And with shows right now like Abbott Elementary or
The Office.
The Office. Yeah. So many shows like that where you're talking about a workplace comedy and you're exploring the intricacies and the relationships of that. I thought it would be a beautiful marriage of those two things.
You did a podcast at IU called Unearthing Her Story. What did you learn about yourself and the state of being female in 2025 when you were doing that?
When I started Her Story, I wanted to reconnect with a part of myself as a storyteller that I felt like I had lost in all the noise of media that we're surrounded with. I wanted to understand why we see prejudices or biases or manipulated histories about women across the world, whether it's twisting our physical looks, our intelligence, our abilities based on who we are and where we came from.
Right.
I learned that, unfortunately, more often than not, the same stories are used, or the same lies and tropes are used to try to take away power and agency from important history-altering women. Right. And I think that really helped me find a voice as a storyteller.
So, as a follow-up, what do you observe about your generation of cisgender males in the age of Trump?
I think a lot of people are really lost. I think a lot of young men today are trying to find their own voice in a world that has suddenly become louder with the voices of people who had been silenced for so long. And I think in a system and in a society where men are taught that they have to exist in a binary in terms of their emotions, in terms of their expression, and in terms of who and what they're supposed to be, I think the threat of people speaking up and being proud of who they are and where they came from is threatening that system. And I think a lot of young men are turning to ultimately very detrimental beliefs and ideologies to try to hold on to a system that has actually disadvantaged them.
Finally, if you were telling your story in a screenplay, what scene would open the film that defines your life and why?
I think, funny enough, it would be very similar to the opening scene of Line Cooks.
Very good.
So much of the story is truly based on my own experiences. And so as a little teaser, the opening scene of Line Cooks is, for anyone who's ever worked at a restaurant, I hope you'll notice it is a very accurate portrayal of opening a restaurant in the morning. It's the chaos of like one 15-year-old behind the grill, like just chugging Red Bull, the music's blasting, and everyone's just in this choreographed dance of trying to put the world in order. And I think there's so much of me that's in that, the hope, the fun. God knows why they would want to, but if anyone wants to get to know me as a filmmaker or a storyteller, they're going to learn a lot through Line Cooks.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2025.